Hi everybody, this is Otis Bradley from 50Green.com TV. Okay, this is 50 green things you can do to green your home now. This is the number one step, measure up. We're talking about measuring up your existing home. Why? You need a baseline so you can figure out if you're going to improve your home, how well you're doing to begin with. So if you want to make your home more efficient, this is important to know. And if you have a home that was built between World War II, say 1940 and 1985, which is apparently about 70% of all homes, there's a good chance you can achieve a 25% increase in efficiency fairly easily. And most likely you can go 50% without going that hard. We talk a lot about how to make your home more efficient in the green building sessions if you want to get further into this. But for today, what you will need are your electric bills, gas bills, oil bills, basically all your utility bills for this little exercise. Okay, so Energy Star is part of the U.S. Department of Energy. And not surprisingly, Energy Star has largely to do with energy. And they have a really interesting little tool we're going to use today called the Energy Star Yardstick, which is going to help us. But the Energy Star program, they've certified over 1 million new homes. They are by far the leading green building program, if you could call it that, in the States, far ahead of LEED or National Association of Home Builders. But they're not everything that green is. As we mentioned, it largely has to do with energy. And as a matter of fact, this Energy Star Yardstick doesn't even include water, so we're going to add that on. But green has to do with health and a lot of other things as well as energy. But certainly energy efficiency is a large part of it. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And I'm going to give you a link in the next slide that you can click on to get to the Energy Star Yardstick. What you'll need to know is your 5-digit zip code, which you'll plug in this box. You'll need to know how many people live in your house. Should be pretty easy to figure out. And you'll also need to know the square footage, how big your house is. So if you don't know, take a guess to begin with, and you can come back and refine this again later. But they say the average home in the United States is 2,500 square feet. So if you have a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom home, you might say 3,000 square feet. If you have a 2-bedroom home, you might say 1,500 square feet. But in addition to electricity, which almost all of us use, what other kinds of fuels do you use? Do you use natural gas? That means that your house is attached to a pipeline from the street, and you have a gas company bill that you pay, versus propane, where you have a tank and they come and deliver it to you. You may have a fuel oil tank, number 2 fuel oil, usually a big tank in the basement. A lot of houses in the East, Midwest still have oil boilers. And I suppose you may have kerosene. I've never seen a kerosene heater in a house, but I know they do exist. Okay, so after you check off whether you have natural gas or one of the others, then you can check here annual. You want to click here and pick the year that you start. You want to go through all your bills, and the best way to do it is, again, you can start out with an estimate if you want, just to do this quickly. But the best thing to do is to look through your bills and get the last 12 months actual readings. Okay, and then when you click one of these buttons up here, you're going to have not only your electricity, but you're going to have your gas box down here. Okay, click this link right here and it'll take you to the Energy Yardstick. You can do that right now. Electricity, so the watt, also the kilowatt, which is kWAH, equals a kilowatt equals 1,000 watts. This is how your electricity bill is measured. And a watt, in case you wanted to know, is a unit of power named after the Scottish engineer James Watt. Died in 1819. And the unit measures the rate of energy conversion. It is defined as 1 joule per second. Okay, this is my electric bill, and this is actually for 2 buildings, our house, and we have a rental house on the property. And you can see for this month, this is, let's see, meter was read September 10th, so it is August 11th to September 10th, 30 days. We used 924 watts that month, and our Southern California Edison bill is chock full of information. You can see this is this year, and then we look at August of last year, so we were 39, let's see, 39 last year and 39 the year before, so we've increased our energy efficiency by 25% year to year. And as you can see, there's a seasonal effect. We have, let's see, there's January, February, a little bit more in the wintertime, and a little bit more in our summertime, which is actually late in the year in our area. So the reason you want to get all your bills out there is because most people don't have a flat line electrical bill. It goes up and down throughout the seasons. So to be accurate, get all those bills out, or you can call your utility company and get the information. And probably electricity in most areas is not all that simple, but California is probably more complicated than most. You can see we have actually 5 tiers here, and they charge us different rates for each tier. 13% or 13 cents a watt for this first tier, which was 345 kilowatts, then 15, then 24, then 27, and 31. I added up the whole bill and figured out that it averaged about 20 cents kilowatt. And then it's kind of interesting. If you look here, you can see $7 was transmission charges, then distribution charges. We had 59 cents nuclear decommissioning charges. We had 19.54 conservation incentive adjustment and 10.14 public purpose programs. A lot of this goes into solar. But it's amazing how complicated they can make a 1 meter. In other words, they're getting, you use X amount of kilowatts, and these are all the figures that go into this particular bill. Also, just FYI here, I noticed in this bill there is a little page here called Understanding Electric EMF, Electric and Magnetic Fields. And we talked a little bit about BAU biology, B-A-U biology, I think it is, which is a study of how electrical, a lot of it is about how electric frequencies can affect you. And I read through this. It says, can EMF harm your health? Basically, it says here that nobody has proven that it has happened, but in case you're concerned, you might want to watch out for these various things. And then it tells you different electric magnetic field radiation quantities for different things, such as a microwave, clothes washer, fluorescent lamp, hair dryer, television, distribution, mechanical pieces. Anyway, just thought it was interesting. We'll do a blog on or a little talk on that later. Okay, Therm. Now this is a measurement you'll find on your gas bill. And a therm is a unit of heat energy, and it's equal to 100,000 British thermal units. You've heard that before, BTUs. Your furnace is 60,000 or 100,000 BTUs, etc. And that is approximately the energy equivalent to burning 100 cubic feet of natural gas. So when you get your gas bill, and again this is my gas bill, you will see therms. And I didn't know exactly what a therm was until I looked it up, but there you have the definition. And you can see in this particular bill, July this year, this gives us a little recap. We use only 7 therms. We don't burn much gas in our house. We've got solar hot water. 7, 12, and 15 over the last 3 months. I added that all up and came to 450 therms, I think it was. And lastly, water. Now this doesn't plug into the Energy Star yardstick, but you need to know your water usage as well. So we've talked about this again in the green building sessions, but how much water do we use? You will see studies that show anywhere from 147 gallons per person per day, gallons per day, as an average American usage. I think about 100 gallons of that is used inside, call it 50 outside, so a third of it is for exterior usage. That'll vary anywhere from 150 to almost 180 gallons per day per person. And then these are, this will vary too, but you'll see toilets usually the largest usage. Good reason to get those 2-button toilets that we've talked about. Leaks, look at that. That's a big chunk, and that's certainly a huge area where you can increase your efficiency by determining where your leaks are, and it's not that hard to do. Other big chunks are clothes washing, showers, and there's faucet. So your water bill is going to probably be measured in CCF, and CCF equals 100 cubic feet. So 100 cubic feet equals 748 gallons of water. So I looked at my water bill. I added up 248 CCFs throughout the year, multiplied that times 748 gallons, which came to a total usage of 185,504 gallons. I divided that by the number of people in our house, which is 6, or in the two houses, which is 6, and then I divided that by the number of days in the year, and for our particular usage it came out to 84 gallons per person per day. So that's almost half of the typical USA average of 147. Check out your usage. If you do a lot of irrigation, you probably have a number that's quite a bit higher than that. Good reason to take a look at your native landscaping. Okay, so here's the bill, and again, they make these things complicated, but in our area, look at that, we've got a 1-inch meter, which they determine what size that meter is. They charge us $120 just for the meter. By the way, our water company here, Golden State Water Company, has, I think, tripled the rates over the last couple of years. It's practically criminal, but this is a 2-month bill, and you can see we used 25 CCFs, or cubic feet of 100 cubic feet of water this month, and last year we used quite a bit more, so we cut that in half. And you can see here our monthly usage. I greatly decreased some of the we had some irrigation we were doing for a bunch of new plants from new landscaping, and I've cut that off completely, so we're way down from the previous year on our water usage. Okay, so when I added all my stuff into the energy yardstick and pressed enter, what I came up with was 8.3 as a total score, and that included my zip code, number of people in my house, square footage, and this is what is interesting with the yardstick. It's determined by your climate zone in your zip code. So we have very low amount of heating degree days. If you live in Michigan, this is going to be quite different. There's our cooling degree days. And there's our electrical use, 7,200 kilowatts over the year. Natural gas use, 452. As I said, they don't put water in here, but that's something you need to know about. Not for energy, but for water consumption, obviously. Now, let's say we want to increase or decrease our usage, and we want to set a goal of 25%. We can actually pop that in here. Electric usage as well as gas usage, and then we punch that in, and it tells us it's going to, if we achieve that goal, it's going to take us from 8.3 all the way to 9.6. So we'll see if we can do that next year, and it's going to tell you what your avoided emissions are. A lot of interesting information in here. It talks about greenhouse gas emissions, equivalent of how many cars it is, and so forth. So once you've done this, then you can set about doing your remodel, and after your remodel is done or your energy efficiency work is done, you can measure up again and find out how you stand up. I think the typical home is somewhere is actually way down here. I'd be curious. Check in with me. Let me know where your house comes in, and then let's come up with a plan to see how we can increase your energy efficiency for next year. If you got an existing home, this is what this is all about. Start with the big return items. So we're talking about fixing leaks, fixing drafts, plugging up all the leaks. They say the average home has over 2,000 linear feet of leaks. So it's an easy thing to plug up the leaks. If you want to go from there, you can start updating your heating systems, your mechanical systems. Maybe you want to take a look at replacing your windows with more energy efficient windows or insulating your house. Obviously, if you're doing a new home, there are all kinds of things you can do, and you won't have an Energy Star yardstick until your home is done. But 2020, there's a bill in California, it's called AB 212, where by the year 2020, California is looking at requiring all homes to be net zero, and that means that the homes will make as much energy as they use. There's a goal for you. All right, so that's number one. Get out there. Let's do this. It doesn't take that much effort. Take you 15 minutes to go through what we've just gone through. Then you might have to dig through your files and get those old bills so you can come up with a real accurate reading. But this is Otis Bradley from 50 Green signing off. Let's get number one done, and we'll move on next week and do another one. Thank you very much.